The champagne flute quivered in my grasp as I beheld our blended family converge around the dining room table. As the celebration for Richard's 50th birthday unfolded, the atmosphere buzzed with laughter and the cheerful clinking of silverware, creating a vibrant tapestry of joy. Jason, our 22-year-old adopted son, sat right across from me. His broad shoulders filled the fabric of his dress shirt, captivating my gaze just a moment longer than intended. I convinced myself it was merely pride, the kind of emotion any mother would experience as she observes the troubled boy we had welcomed into 16 blossom transform into the self-assured young man. Yet, as his hazel eyes locked onto mine across the flickering candlelight of the centerpiece, an unfamiliar sensation stirred deep within me. Gather round, everyone. Let me share a tale. Richard's sister summoned attention, her knife gently tapping against the glass, a rhythmic invitation to listen. My husband stood, his receding hairline shimmering in the chandelier light, and began to weave the tale of our 20-year marriage with the same well-rehearsed anecdotes I'd come to know by heart at every gathering. As his words flowed around me, I felt my focus shift back to Jason, who was observing me with a gaze so intense it sent my heart racing. The way his fingers danced along the rim of his wine glass, crafting long, deliberate circles, sent an unexpected shiver down my spine. The cake cutting unfolded in a whirlwind of moments. Richard leaned in, offering a brief peck on the cheek, while Jason's hand grazed the small of my back as he reached for the dessert plates. The connection was fleeting, a mere heartbeat in time. Yet the warmth of his touch remained, etched into the fabric of my silk dress like a vivid memory. As the clock struck midnight, the last of the guests had taken their leave, and Richard had slipped away to his slumber, leaving me in the quiet solitude of the kitchen. There, amidst a towering pile of dishes, my thoughts danced and twirled, echoing the remnants of the evening's festivities. The sound of clattering plates filled the air, concealing Jason's approach until he appeared unexpectedly beside me at the sink. The scent enveloped me, a dark and spicy fragrance that Richard would never choose, igniting my senses with its bold presence. Allow me to assist you, he whispered, gently taking the champagne flute from my grasp. Our fingers met, and this time neither of us withdrew. The glass slipped from my grasp, shattering against the porcelain sink in a cascade of sharp fragments. We stood still, straining to catch any hint that Richard had picked up on something. The house stood in quietude, yet an unspoken fracture had formed between us, as irrevocable as the stillness that surrounded us. Jason's breath caught in his throat as he moved nearer. His form stood as a barrier, protecting me from sight should anyone come down the stairs. His hand lingered just above my waist, quivering with the weight of unspoken desire. In a single heartbeat, his lips met mine, a collision fueled by a desire that set every nerve in my body ablaze. I ought to have distanced myself, to have recalled my role as his stepmother, his protector, the one who had signed his permission slips and cared for him through Mono at 17. As his tongue danced along the seam of my lips, my mind wandered to the time that had passed since Richard had kissed me in this way, as if I were the very air he needed to breathe. And he had been lost beneath the waves. The justifications arrived swiftly, the wine, the solitude, the fleeting glances Richard cast my way throughout the evening. Yet, hidden beneath the justifications pulsed a more sinister reality. I found myself lost in a moment, kissing my stepson back with equal passion, my fingers weaving through his hair as he drew me closer against the counter. In a distant place above, Richard lay in a deep slumber, his snores echoing through the quiet house, completely unaware of the world around him. As we finally parted ways, Jason's eyes were wide, reflecting a deep longing. We can't, he began, his hand gliding down my hips as he spoke. No, I found myself agreeing, breathless with anticipation. We are unable to. Yet, when his lips met mine once more, I found myself unable to pull away. The ancient clock chimed, marking the hour of 2 in the stillness of the night. As I ascended the staircase, my silk robe embraced my skin, still alive with the sensation of Jason's touch. The deep, resonant snores of Richard echoed through the threshold of our bedroom, a sound that filled the space with a peculiar rhythm, the familiar, unwavering cadence that had once cradled me into slumber for 2 decades now echoed with the weight of a charge. I quietly entered the ensuite. In the sanctuary of the bathroom, the door clicked shut, a promise of privacy, before the brave soul ventured to gaze into the mirror. My lips were swollen, my hair disheveled, my eyes blazing with a guilty light I hadn't seen since those wild college days. The figure gazing back at me was a stranger, a face I could not place. 3 showers were not enough. Let the tides erase the recollection of Jason's hands roaming my body, igniting a desire that left me trembling at the knees. Nor could they erase the way he'd softly murmured, "You're so much more beautiful than him," against my throat before we had finally, albeit reluctantly, parted ways. I whispered to myself that it was merely a fleeting lapse, A misstep ignited by the bubbles of champagne and the ache of solitude. But when my phone vibrated at dawn, I couldn't stop thinking about you from an unsaved number. My traitor's heart leapt before the inner voice might step in. We mastered the art of capturing fleeting instants. A gentle touch as hands meet while passing the salt shaker at. The morning meal, a delightful beginning to the day. As Richard spoke, a captivating gaze held across the dinner table, weaving an unspoken connection that lingered in the air. Jason had a knack for leaving his towel in my laundry basket, almost as if he knew I would fold it, and then press it to my face to inhale his scent. Every interaction shimmered with perilous currents of electricity. The excitement of evading capture only deepening the fixation. Richard remained oblivious to everything around him. He commended Jason's newfound maturity, unaware that the confidence emanating from his son stemmed from a hidden wager with his wife. "It appears that the bond between you two has grown stronger in recent times, hasn't it?" noted one evening, gently patting my knee in a distracted manner before turning his attention back to the newspaper. The offhand remark sent a chill coursing through my veins. It was in Jason's childhood bedroom, the very space where I had once comforted him after his nightmares, that we first truly crossed the line. At the age of 22, he pressed me against those well-known superhero posters, his lips fervent and insistent. "He'll be home in an hour," I breathed as Jason's teeth brushed against my collarbone. "Then we'd best hurry," he whispered, his fingers deftly moving to my buttons. Afterward, as I smoothed my blouse with quivering fingers, Jason seized my wrist. "This isn't merely a physical connection for me," he confessed, revealing a side of himself that was rarely seen. The primal hunger in his gaze sent a shiver down my spine, for I knew it all too well. Witnessing it each dawn in the mirror's embrace, that night, Richard extended his hand towards me in bed, a gesture that had been absent for months. As I followed the instructions, my mind wandered back to the sensation of Jason's touch from hours before, a spark that had ignited a long-dormant fire within me after years of emotional neglect. As Richard rolled away, a wave of emotion surged within me, leaving my eyes glistening with unshed tears, while he remained blissfully unaware of the turmoil he had stirred. The fabric of deception stacked high, a mountain of untruths waiting to be unraveled. I called off lunches with friends, fearing they might catch a glimpse of the guilt etched upon my features. Begun donning turtlenecks to conceal the marks of Jason's affection. I found myself gazing at Richard across the breakfast table, contemplating whether the end of our marriage would shatter him less than the reality we faced. Then arrived the message that transformed it all. "Alas, I find myself behind schedule, not from Jason. From my daughter Emily at college, the one soul who has always seen through to my very essence. Returning home this weekend. It's time we delve into the unfolding tale between you and Jason." The phone slipped from my fingers, shattering on the tile, reminiscent of the champagne flute that had met its fate weeks prior. This time, the pieces would remain scattered, untouched by the hands of restoration. Emily's surprising entrance sent me racing to wipe away any trace of our hidden truth. I swept through the house with the fervor of a tempest, gathering Jason's scattered hoodies, erasing our intertwined fingerprints from the wine glasses, and dousing the air with my vanilla perfume to cloak the lingering trace of his cologne. Dwelling in our hidden realms. As she turned the key in the front door, I sat rigidly on the living room sofa, my hands clasped too tightly in my lap. A magazine splayed open to a page I hadn't yet absorbed. "Mother," Emily lingered in the doorway, her college backpack casually draped over one shoulder, her eyes already narrowed with suspicion. At 20, she had taken on Richard's keen eye, the kind that made defendants shift uncomfortably in his courtroom. Now it held me fast to the sofa. Much like a butterfly delicately affixed to a board, I brewed coffee for both of us. Imbibed. The quiet that enveloped us sharpened into something fierce. "It's you, Jason, isn't it?" With a sudden burst of emotion, she slammed her mug down and let the words spill out. Brown liquid sloshed onto the granite countertop, reminiscent of a truth neither of us could hold back any longer. "Oh, Mom, I've noticed the way your eyes linger on him. The manner in which you both vanish following the meal." Her voice trembled. "Convince me that my mind is playing tricks on me." The refusal faded away, lingering briefly before vanishing from my lips. My daughter's face, reminiscent of Richard's in its sincerity, crumpled. That night, Jason pinned me against the frigid garage wall, his hands calloused with a fervent urgency. "We could depart this very night," he whispered softly against my neck. His typical assurance lay in ruins. "Simply load up the car and Emily understands." The words lingered on the tongue, bitter and dry, reminiscent of ash. His grip tightened, a silent promise of the unfolding tale ahead. "What's the significance of that? She's not my biological sister. Richard is not my true father." The nonchalant manner in which he brushed aside our family sent a wave of unease through me. For the first time, I beheld the boy hidden beneath the man, filled with fear. Orphaned not once but twice, desperately clinging to me. It felt as though I was his steadfast support amidst the tempest we had conjured together. Richard's headlights cast a glow through the garage windows. Illuminating the shadows within, we separated as if we were fugitives, each fleeing into the shadows. At dinner, the atmosphere was thick enough to slice through with a blade. Emily gazed at her plate, her jaw tight with tension. Richard wove a tale about a case, completely unaware of how Jason's foot danced along my ankle beneath the table. As Emily rose abruptly, the chair let out a piercing screech, causing us all to startle in unison. "I can't do this," she murmured softly. Before making a hasty retreat upstairs, Richard's eyes fluttered as he watched her go. What was that all about? Jason's knee brushed against mine, a cautionary tale. Commitment. A tale of youthful turmoil. I wove my tale effortlessly, my hand gliding toward the wine. My hand remained steady. That filled me with the deepest fear. As Richard lay beside me, lost in his snoring. My phone suddenly glowed with a message from Jason. My sanctuary. At this very moment, the house groaned softly as I tiptoed down the corridor. Glancing at Emily's door, firmly shut, Jason's bedroom door lingered in a state of half-open. The soft light from his laptop casting a warm glow upon his bare chest. He drew me in, enveloping me in the moment. His lips collided with mine, a fierce intensity that sent my thoughts swirling. Silence enveloped the room and the door creaked open without a sound, unnoticed by us. The gas did not belong to Emily. Richard lingered in the doorway, caught in a moment of stillness. His attire appeared disheveled. His briefcase hung loosely, a silent companion left behind in the rush of the moment. The expression on his face, betrayal, yes, but even more. A haunting recognition, as if he had known all along, yet chose to ignore it. Fractured something between us for eternity. Jason's arm wrapped securely around my waist. Proclaimed. Quest. The quiet lingered, tight and unyielding like a well-worn robe. With that, Richard pivoted and strode away, silence enveloping him like a cloak. The front door banged shut with a resounding thud. Wheels of adventure let out a piercing cry. And just like that, 2 decades of union unraveled in the fleeting moment it took for Jason to utter a single whisper. At long last. The digital clock cast its soft light at 3:47 a.m. while I lay still in bed, attuned to the rhythm of Richard's uneven breathing. He remained silent ever since he stepped into our midst. She simply turned away, leaving behind a silence that echoed with a deeper sorrow than any loud confrontation ever could. My phone buzzed for the 14th time. A persistent reminder of the world beyond my own. Jason was sending messages from his room down the hall. He won't be returning this evening. Gather around and listen closely. The message seared into my hand, a blend of allure and accusation. As the first light of dawn gently filtered through the blinds, I lingered in stillness before making my move. By the door, Richard's briefcase lay abandoned, its contents spilled and scattered, telling a silent tale of haste and forgotten moments. Documents scattered across the ground, reminiscent of the fragments of our broken existence. The image in the hallway mirror caught me off guard. Shadows linger beneath weary, bloodshot eyes. Lips remain tender, a lingering reminder of Jason's kisses. The figure gazing back was an unfamiliar presence. As I approached, Emily's door swung open, catching me off guard. She surveyed my untidy look, her expression turning steely. "I told him," she whispered, her voice raw. "Once you drifted off to sleep." I picked up the phone and reached out to Dad at his office, sharing every detail with him. Her next words struck with the precision of arrows, piercing through the silence. "He is embarking on the journey of filing for divorce, and I shall never utter another word to you again." The house phone rang then, piercing the thick silence with its sharp cry. Jason responded from downstairs, his voice tinged with a sense of urgency. As I stepped into the kitchen, I found him looking ghostly, the phone hanging limply from his grasp. "That was the hospital," he recounted. "Father. Richard found himself caught in an unexpected accident." The way he continued to call him Dad plunged the knife even deeper. It is believed that he may have indulged in some drinks. His vehicle collided with a guardrail on the interstate. The air in the emergency room was thick with the sharp scent of antiseptic, mingling unpleasantly with the aroma of stale coffee. Richard lay in a deep slumber, surrounded by the cold, sterile light of the ICU monitors. Each beep a whisper of life hanging in the balance. His forehead was stitched, his right arm encased in a cast. The young resident paused, gathering their thoughts before finally finding the words to share. "Your husband's blood alcohol content was significantly above the legal threshold. In a twist of fate, the officers discovered an empty bottle of bourbon resting in the passenger seat." Jason settled into a plastic chair, his head cradled in his hands. I reached for him instinctively, yet he recoiled as if my touch were a shadow he could not bear. "This is our fault," he muttered, his voice barely rising above a whisper. as if the weight of the words was too heavy to share. The epiphany washed over him like a sudden tide, overwhelming and all-consuming, what we had accomplished, whom we had wounded. At last, he raised his gaze, his eyes reflected a growing dread. Oh, divine presence. He was my father in every sense that truly counted. In the waiting room, the television flickered to life, revealing a morning news segment that unfolded the tale of a prominent judge, caught in the grip of a drunk driving accident. As Richard's polished headshot illuminated the screen, my stomach plummeted, the haunting images of our ravaged colonial flickering in tandem. The words at the bottom whispered, "Sources suggest that troubles in the marriage might have played a role in the unfolding of events." Jason's phone vibrated, signaling a new message. His expression shifted into shadows as he revealed the screen to me. A gossip blog had already woven the tale, complete with shadowy quotes about a troubled bond with his stepmother. The comments section lay like a desolate graveyard, hauntingly echoing the remnants of our reputations. As the clock struck noon, the first reporter reached out to the hospital. In the parking lot, two photographers set up their camp. At 3, Richard stirred just enough to catch a glimpse of me by his bedside. Before he turned his face to the wall, the nurse gently urged me to take my leave. The house echoed with emptiness, a vast space longing for Richard's vibrant spirit to breathe life into its walls. Jason moved restlessly around the kitchen, his fingers raking through his hair, leaving it tousled and wild. "We must take the lead on this," he declared, suddenly seizing his keys. "I shall engage in a conversation with Emily, guiding her to comprehend." Comprehend what? I captured the moment when the dam finally gave way. What have we done to our family? And for what purpose? A tale of dark enchantment. The words lingered in the air, raw and inescapable. Jason's expression grew steely. "You appeared not to. It felt quite intriguing when you were whispering my name in the dark last night." The harshness in his voice took me by surprise. This was not the fragile child from the hospital. This was a different soul altogether. With a chime that echoed through the air, the doorbell announced its presence. Beyond the frosted glass, 2 uniformed officers emerged, their presence commanding attention. My blood froze in my veins. Jason responded as I lingered in the hallway, absorbing snippets of dialogue, a shield of safety. "Keep your distance of 500 feet. Judge Whitmore's appeal. As the door clicked shut, a tremor coursed through Jason's hands. "He's casting me out from the dwelling. From you. The weight of the unspoken implication lingered in the air. Richard had a keen understanding of the perfect way to deliver our comeuppance. Without any legal bonds, Jason found himself without a stake in this family. Once upon a time, there was a character known simply as me. While he filled his duffel bag, my gaze fell upon the framed photo resting on his dresser. All 4 of us gathered at his college graduation. Richard's arm proudly draped around his shoulders. Jason noticed my gaze and purposefully flipped it face down. "Perhaps this is for the best," he remarked, sealing the bag with a sense of closure. There was neither a kiss to seal the farewell nor a vow to keep in touch. Only the faint sound of the front door closing lingered in the air, a whisper of what had just transpired. An emptiness settled within me, a realization that I had lost them all. My beloved partner, my cherished child, and now the boy I had naively believed held affection for me. The stillness enveloped everything, a heavy blanket of quiet that seemed to echo in the air. A news van rolled up to the curb, its presence stirring the air with anticipation. Within the confines of the refrigerator, the remnants of Richard's birthday cake lingered. A sweet echo of celebration passed. The moment that ignited the journey, I collapsed onto the floor, the burden of my decisions bearing down on me until I felt suffocated. In the far-off reaches, a phone's ring echoed through the air. Most likely just another journalist. Perhaps the separation, legal advocate, or the hospital bearing grim tidings regarding Richard's condition. I chose to remain silent. All words had faded into silence. The restraining order arrived on pristine legal paper, its edges sharp and formal. A stark reminder of the boundaries now drawn, the ink of Richard's signature loomed before me. A silent accusation etched in permanence. 2 unadorned pages that brought an end to decades of union with stark precision. I ran my fingers over the embossed letterhead, feeling its texture as if it held secrets waiting to be unveiled. The phrase, "a tale of unbridgeable divides," doing little to convey the depth of how completely I had unraveled our existence. The voice of my lawyer hummed in my ear. Once upon a time, there was a tale woven around the intricate matters of asset division and the delicate balance of spousal support. However, all I could hear was Emily's voice, fractured and trembling, declaring, "I never want to see you again." The house felt eerily silent, lacking the familiar cadence of Richard's nightly news ritual and the vibrant pulse of Jason's music echoing through the rooms. Through the walls, even the refrigerator hum carried a tone of blame. As I stepped into Jason's forsaken bedroom, the sheets lay in disarray, remnants of our last encounter lingering in the air. The scent of his cologne hung in the air, weaving an invisible thread of memory and intrigue, yet his drawer remained only partially filled, the framed family photo on the desk now stood as a mere shadow of its former self, a dusty outline where it had once been. For 3 days, his last message lingered on my phone unread. Before I finally decided to let it go, Richard's visage gazed back at me from every newsstand. The scandal had erupted with a force that shook the very foundations of the community. The tabloids screamed about the prominent judge's wife involved in an affair with her stepson. My yearbook photo stands in contrast, with scenes capturing Richard's journey to recovery in the hospital. Last week, the cashier at the grocery store greeted me with a familiar smile, as if our paths had crossed many times before. Her courteous smile turned to ice as she caught sight of my name on the credit card. I abandoned my overflowing card in the aisle, never to return. The divorce proceedings unfolded with a chilling precision. Richard's lawyer unveiled evidence that had remained hidden from my view, revealing security camera footage from our home system capturing Jason and me in the kitchen, along with my credit card statements for hotel rooms. I had asserted that these were spa days, even providing evidence from our housekeeper regarding the fresh sheets in Jason's room. Sitting across the courtroom from Richard, I beheld the man who had captured my heart for decades now. He regarded me with the same detached professionalism he reserved for the convicted individuals with a criminal past. Emily turned away from my calls, her silence echoing like a closed door. Upon my unexpected arrival, her dorm roommate revealed that she had transferred to a different school. Once upon a time, in a month filled with promise and potential, the expression on that young girl's face, a blend of pity and disgust, lingered in my dreams far more than any confrontation ever could. Then arrived the email from Jason. It wasn't the heartfelt appeals I had anticipated, but rather a stark, official communication informing me that he had engaged legal representation to pursue a lawsuit for emotional distress and breaches of personal boundaries. His lawyer's letter painted a picture of me as someone who exploited his vulnerable position within the family. The dates noted held memories that danced in my mind, each one a tale told in a different light. Moments when he reached out, tokens of affection he presented, messages he dispatched under the cover of darkness. The treachery pierced the heart more profoundly than any legal separation ever could. The ultimate indignity arrived when Richard decided to sell our tale to a true crime podcast. I stood in shocked silence as he recounted the moment he returned home to discover my wife and the boy I had raised as my son involved in unimaginable acts. The host's gasp of horror echoed the reaction I should have felt months prior, as the haunting echoes of the 911 call from Richard's accident filled the air, his slurred voice pleading with the operator to let him slip away, rather than endure the weight of the shame. I found myself compelled to pull over, overwhelmed by the urge to vomit. I set out on a quest to locate Jason. In the stillness of his apartment, a profound emptiness lingered. Alas, the connection was lost, leaving silence in its wake. His Instagram painted vivid scenes of tropical beaches and vibrant cocktails, with captions that sang of newfound freedom. In a single snapshot, his arm wrapped around a blonde girl who seemed no older than Emily. 2 days had passed since Richard's accident, as marked by the timestamp. Last week, the house found its new owner. The new owners, a young couple cradling their baby, inquired about the origins of the stained glass window that graced the foyer. I kept it a secret that Richard installed it for our 10th anniversary. As I packed the last box, I stumbled upon Jason's high school graduation program, hidden away behind my desk. His youthful scrawl in the margins: "Thank you for being the most incredible mom in the world." I set it ablaze in the kitchen sink. Here I find myself in this rented apartment, enveloped by half-unpacked boxes, gazing at the business card of the therapist my lawyer suggested. Tomorrow marks the beginning of our journey together with the first appointment. I promise myself that I will embark on this journey. I seek to unravel the tale of how I transformed into this individual, yet a part of me ponders whether certain stains remain forever, untouched by time or tide. Once more, the phone breaks the silence with its persistent ring. Perhaps it's yet another journalist, or possibly Richard's attorney bringing along additional documents. I choose not to respond. There's no soul remaining with whom I wish to share my thoughts. The air in the therapist's office was infused with the soothing scent of lavender, mingling with an undercurrent of regret. Dr. Langford sat across from me, her notepad untouched, her gaze fixed on mine as I wove the entire intricate tale. It was in the kitchen, amidst the laughter and clinking glasses, that Jason's hand first brushed against mine. The moment my breath caught in my throat, his smile igniting something within me. All set against the backdrop of Richard's birthday party. where champagne flowed and inhibitions faded away. Upon completion, my hands trembled, and my throat felt raw as though I had been shouting at the top of my lungs. The Dr. Langford leaned in, eager to share his thoughts. Did you believe you held love for him, or did you cherish the way he stirred your emotions? The question lingered in the atmosphere, swirling and elusive like a wisp of smoke. I found myself without a response. On that night, visions of Richard danced through my mind. Not the shattered figure from the hospital, but the image of him on our wedding day. His smile stretched across his face. With a steady hand, he glided the ring onto my finger. As I stirred from slumber, I found my pillow soaked, while the vacant side of the bed felt chillier than it ever had before. Then came the email. A message arrived, and it bore the name of Emily. Only 3 lines: Father is embarking on a new chapter in his life. As he prepares to tie the knot once more, a certain associate from his firm. She carries a new life within her. I felt it was important for you to hear it directly from me. The words danced in a haze. Once upon a time, a little one came into the world, a fresh beginning in love, life, a tale unwritten. As I made my way to Richard's new abode, the anticipation of what lay ahead filled the air. A contemporary creation featuring a charming wraparound porch. So different from our beloved old colonial, I chose not to knock. I found myself seated in my car, gazing through the glass as he shared laughter with a blonde woman. His hand gently cradled her swollen stomach. Emily was present as well, arranging the table with care. Her smile flowed effortlessly, a sight I hadn't encountered in ages. They appeared to be filled with joy. They appeared to be a family. In the end, Jason discovered my presence regardless. He arrived at my apartment without any prior notice. His tan deepened, his hair lightened, a gold chain glinting at his throat. Do you long for my presence? He inquired, a sly grin playing on his lips. As though the events of the past year were but a distant memory, I gazed at him, truly observing him. For the first time since everything unraveled, the youthful allure had transformed into a carefully crafted facade. The vulnerability I had once cherished had vanished, supplanted by a chilling confidence that sent shivers across my skin. I told you, you used me. He let out a hearty laugh. And you chose not to involve me. Once upon a time, there was a feeling of boredom that lingered in the air. Isolated. I was merely the nearest source of warmth. He drew nearer, his voice lowering to a whisper. Yet, our connection is truly special. Indeed, we are. For a fleeting moment, I hesitated, the recollection of his hands upon me, the way he ignited a spark of life within me after years of neglect, still coursed a treacherous warmth through my veins. In that moment, my mind wandered to the arrival of Richard's new baby, of Emily's revulsion, of the life I'd turned to embers. I took a step back. Leave now. Jason's smirk vanished. Prepare for a shift in perspective. Yet, I chose not to. The following morning, I secured a one-way ticket to a coastal town where my name was but a whisper in the wind, unknown to all. I traveled with just the essentials. Only garments, a handful of snapshots capturing Emily's childhood, and the wedding ring I had tucked away in my jewelry box. Once the therapist inquired whether I felt any regret about it. The essence of reality. There were days when the absence of Jason weighed heavily on my heart. A deep ache that lingered. On some days, my feelings for him were filled with disdain. Yet, with each passing day, my self-loathing deepened. A taxi's horn blared from outside. As I cast my gaze one final time across the vacant apartment, memories lingered in the air. Then I gently closed the door behind me. Not every tale concludes with joy. Some simply reach their conclusion.